Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of Rendezvous with the Stalwarts, the show where we discuss the journey of stalwarts in our profession and talk with them about their experiences, their projects, and their vision for the future of our industry. I'm Daniel Couture, your host for the show, and in today's episode, it is truly a pleasure to be talking to Marcio Sequeira de Oliveira, the founder of Mola Structural. Marcio is a Brazilian architect and has done his Masters of Science in Civil Engineering as well. His research has been focused on finding educational solutions that can help bridge the gap between architectural and structural engineering. Since 2004, he has been working on the Mola Structural project that we'll be talking to him in depth about today, which is an educational physical model designed to simulate real structural behavior. In 2014, after 10 years of relentless work, he finally launched the first edition of the Mola Structural Kit, and just within a couple of weeks, it became one of the largest crowdfunded projects in Brazil. Today, Mola is used by universities and companies from more than 60 countries around the world, and he has also received some of the prestigious design awards in Brazil and worldwide. So, without any further ado, let's move in straight into our conversation with Marcio. Welcome, Marcio, on the show today. I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Sure. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. So, Marcio, I'd like to start by jogging your memory during your growing years to know more what it was that drove you towards pursuing your career in architecture and civil engineering programs. What got you interesting into this field?
Okay, so let's go to the start.
Yes.
Since I was a kid,
Yeah.
I always liked to play with building toys, and I always liked to draw things. I was drawing all the time. I was liking too much, and actually, not only this, but I think I got influence from home. My parents, my father, he's a mechanical engineer, but he works with civil engineering. And he runs a company that produce and assembles steel structures.
Okay.
So I had contact with this universe of steel construction since I was a kid.
Okay.
So it was like part of what we see, was to see a lot. So
yeah,
not only to go to architecture and civil engineering, but I think everything I do today, the activities I do, it's related not only with my father's activity, but also my mom. She graduated in physics, and she teaches physics and math. So I think everything I do today is really related what I learned from home. So I think this was the biggest inspiration and reference to get to this field, to this activity of architecture engineering. And just talking a little bit more, my dad has an ability to create things, like to build stuff. So he's always building things, and I used to build him all the time and see all those things that you were doing. So I have this learning from since I was a kid, like how to make things. And my mom is also a great teacher for physics and math. She can teach in a really simple way, like complex stuff. And for example, she's capable of doing hand calculations upside down. Like she sits in front of you and she does hand calculation upside down, and her handwriting, it's perfect. And she's really good. And I was looking all those stuff since I was a kid, so I think this was the
it's
reference.
Great, like you were exposed right from your early childhood to steel structures, mechanics, physics, and try to make complex things simpler, which is what you are doing with Mola Structural.
And today I realized it, because before that I didn't kind of got this, but now I can look back and see
from where this comes
maybe
from.
That's why I'm here today.
Definitely. So your parents had a big role grooming you towards this field.
Yeah.
So when and how did you have your first thought, or let's say a eureka moment of building something like Mola Structural? Is there any interesting story that led you towards it, or what was it?
Yeah, there's some stories. Let's start from
Sure.
After I, as I said, because of the reference that I had from my father.
Yes.
I had always the interested about structures. And when I started studying architecture, this was a subject that I was really interested.
Yes.
But after I graduated, it was back 2003, and I felt I needed to learn more about structures, because only the graduation in architecture, it wasn't enough, so I could really understand how structures really behave and how to design something. And since I graduated, I moved from North Brazil. I'm from North Brazil. I moved to Southeast Brazil to take a 1-year course in steel construction. So this was my goal, to learn more about structure. So since after I graduated, I moved and started this course. And during this course, I took a lot of design classes, all related to designing structures. So it was really good because it was a course about structures specific for architects. So it was really specific, the way they teach, the way they present everything, the concepts and so during these design classes, I felt the need for something visual. I was designing a lot of things, and I was not comfortable about the process, and I realized
there's a gap in between there.
Yes, I wanted something real to see it. And I started to create these models at home to understand what I was doing in the class. So I started with wood sticks, magnets, and spheres. So I bought a wood sticks and started to build stuff. And I started with trusses because I only had the connection with the spheres and the magnets. So it was all pinned connections. But it was really nice. I could build some trusses and different structures. And the experience was really nice because I started to learn a lot of things by just experimenting things, just by making and trying different stuff. And one day I built a trussed arch with the wood sticks, and it was really nice, the experience. But I started to ask myself what was happening on each bar of that structural system. I could understand the structure as a whole thing, as a global behavior, but I could not see what's happening, where I had compression or tension, what's happening inside. So I start to think, what kind of material could I use in the model to see those things? So it was another step that I took. And I started to do a lot of different stuff. Plastic, rubber, barbecue wood sticks, and everything I got in front of me. I started to try to have some material that wasn't too rigid as the wood, but it could represent the deformations and everything, displacements and all the stuff. But none of those materials worked like pretty good because most of them, they are too rigid, or for example, the rubber, they get big deformed shapes, but they couldn't go back to the original shape. So this was a problem. So I spent a lot of time doing a lot of tests, but this was for a personal need to understand what I was studying. So
during this phase, were you like working on yourself, or was some?
I was just doing this course. I went to take this course to study only. So I was only studying and doing these tests at home. And one day after I worked the entire day with the plastic tubes, like using the connection with the magnets, trying a lot of different stuff. And I needed to take a shower. It was at night, and I had an electric shower.
Okay.
And it was broke. I needed to change the resistance of the electric shower, which is a spring.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got the resistance from the plastic bag, I was like, oh, I think
this is what I needed.
Yeah, I think maybe a spring would be a good solution, because I get big deformations. If I release the load, it goes back to original shape. And I was like,
yes,
this could be nice. And I went online. I found a spring factory. On the next day, I was inside the factory doing all kinds of different springs, different wire sizes, the scale, to get to the perfect scale and size that I wanted for demonstrating the structures, and related to the size of the spheres and everything. So this was how the idea of using a spring came to me.
Great.
I'm not saying this as something special, something magical, but I think it's more like
you realized it at the right moment.
Yeah, I think it's more like doing things over and over again until you are prepared to realize those things. And I think if I wasn't prepared, I would not identify this was a solution for the problem I was working on. So I think this is part of the process, and I've learned a lot about this during this process. So that's why we called Mola Structural Kit, because Mola means spring in Portuguese. So this is the name of the product of the model, because it's the main idea is to use springs as bar elements. So this was how everything started.
Yeah, that's a great story. So then how was your entire journey from the ideation phase to the launch of the first product? Like, could you please elaborate on how long the journey was and what were all the different phases or steps that you took to after the idea broke up in your mind to the first launch of the project?
Okay. Okay, so from that point, that I start to build with the springs, it was really nice, because I started to do a lot of things at home and doing like tall buildings, bridges, and all the stuff. But I only had bars, pinned connections, and bracing systems. I bought some really thin wires, steel wires, to do the bracing system.
Okay.
And it was really nice. It was really good, because I was playing and seeing things. And at the end of this course, it was 1 year. At the end, we need to present a final project. It was about commercial building, like 20 floors building. And we needed to do some pre-calculations to define the size of the structural elements for a evaluation of the structure and everything. So I decided to present the projects I was working with, the model of this building. So I produce all the springs, everything on the same scale to present at the end of this course. So I took to the class. I went there one night before the presentation to build everything and to let everything there, so I could present on the next day. And I did the presentation. I showed how the building behaved, because we had a central core of the building what was braced, and all the other connection was pinned. So this part was responsible for giving stability to the building, and I could demonstrate this in the class. And then one of the professors that was there, he invited me to take a master in civil engineering at the Federal University of Ouro Preto. And that was how I got into the master in civil engineering. And I accept the challenge with one condition, that my research needed to be with Mola. So we decided that, and he said, okay, I agree with you, let's do it. And then my research was based on the validation of this behavior that we could see in the model. So how can we prove that this exactly what happens in a real structure? So how can we trust the model to build different structural systems? So right after this 1-year course, 1 year later, I started the master. It was 2006.
Okay.
And I did a validation, and the result was really amazing because it was more precise than we imagined before.
Yes.
So we knew it was similar because we used to read in books and everything. But as soon as we compare, we use SAP 2000, the software, to simulate the same structural systems, and we took the format shape from SAP 2000 and overlap the images of the real model, the format shape. So this was how we compared, and the result was really amazing. And this was another moment, really important moment for me, especially during this journey, to think, okay, this is something that I want to work with, and I want to make this happen because I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of people will use it because we need this kind of perception.
Definitely.
But after that, even with the validation and everything, and of course, during this process, I started to create different elements of the physical model, like rigid connections, base connections, slabs, and other stuff. Always trying to make it's more similar to a real structure as possible.
As realistic as possible.
Yes, and this is a one big challenge that we have during this whole journey. But after that, I start to think, how can I turn this into a product? Because I had the system, a lot of pieces, and I didn't have a kit or a defined quantity of pieces, the size of it. And I start to look for different ways. How can I make this a product? Yeah, and my goal was, if I was able to live my life like doing this is what I want. And this was my goal at the beginning, because I saw a lot of people who were really into the subject, into structural teaching and everything, and they were like, this is really good. Some professors from the master's degree, they said, you should keep going, should develop this. And so after that, I started to look for ways to make this happen. But it was really hard for me because I started to work after my master. And I didn't have time, like commercial hours, to find a supplier, to visit factories, to look for investors, and to do everything that I needed to make it happen. So it was really tough. I talked to a lot of people. I presented to big companies. A lot of people, most of the people, they used to say, this is really good, this is really good. But at the time we needed to really make something, to decide how much we needed to, no one
contributed.
And actually, I'm not saying it's their fault. I think I was able to convince anyone that would make sense. And anyways, I started to try a lot of things. But I didn't succeed. And one day, I remember that really after this my master, I did some presentations in some conferences about this research, the validation for Mola. And I did a presentation in Portugal once on a conference, and some people from other countries saw the model, saw the validation, and they got also really interested about it. And after that, I started to receive a lot of contacts from professors from Switzerland, from Spain, from different countries saying, I want a kit. I want to show to my students. I want to have in my office to talk to a client, for example. And there's different requests. but I couldn't produce like 1 kit or 10 kits. It was too expensive. I needed volume and like a big production run. Anyways, I spent a lot of time trying to make this happen. And every time I was almost giving up, like, okay, no one's gonna give money for that. I'm not gonna work with this anymore. Like I'll keep my life as an architect, and that's okay. That's fine. And every time I was decided, I received an email like in the same week. The guy from other countries saying, "Hey, I want a kit." I was like, "There's another crazy guy in the world that wants this, so I have to do it." And I'll keep going. And I realized I needed time, and I needed to be 100% on this to make it happen. Otherwise, it would never happen. And I realized if I would get frustrated after 20 years or 10 years, 20 years to not doing anything. So I decided to quit my job and start to take like architecture design projects. So I could work from home, and I could do my time and work at night, and during the day I could look for investors. In my head, this was be easier this way. And I did. I quit my job, but I spent almost 4 years and nothing.
So when did you leave your job? Like, was it 2010 or
it
around
was then? 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
And I spent 4 years and nothing happened. And until one day I was talking to a friend, and he told me about crowdfunding. I never heard about it, and I was like, okay, let's take a look. I've tried a lot of different ways I did the work, so let's see what is this all about. So I started to research, make some researches, and I looked to Kickstarter and different platforms about crowdfunding, and I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And the idea was to make like a pilot run for the kit. Like produce like 100 or 150 units. It was the goal. My idea is that I would put everybody together, the guy from Switzerland, the other from Spain, my professors, my mom, my dad, my friends. Maybe if everybody get together, we can finance the first production run. And after that, it will be easier to go to investor and say, oh, this is the product. There's so many people like interested, and it will be easier to find investment. So after these 4 years, and I launched the first kit on a crowdfunding campaign on a platform here in Brazil. And we needed to raise an amount to produce like 100 and 150. We needed 45. We had 45 days to raise the amount, our goal. We did in 3 days.
Oh, that's great.
As soon as we launched, in 3 days, we reached our funding goal. And with 11 days, it was the biggest crowdfunding campaign in Brazil. And we finished the campaign with almost 2,000 units to produce. So it was a huge success.
Definitely.
It was a mix of feelings, because I wasn't prepared.
Not expecting such a good response.
Yes, I didn't prepare to. I was planning to do everything by myself, because to produce 100 and 150 units, I couldn't do it by myself. But at the end, it was like 2,000 units. It was completely different. It was also a huge challenge. I think it was harder than raise the funds after to produce, to do everything as I promised at the campaign. So anyways, at the end, we shipped all the kits, and this was how I started the company. As soon as we finished the crowdfunding campaign period, like raising period for the money, I started the company and started producing everything, all the tools and everything, molds and injection molds and everything we needed to produce the product. So this was how was the journey. Some stories. This period to start the company, the business.
Yeah, it's a very inspiring story of, let's say, 10 years of your hard work and sacrifice that you have put in for building such a great product at the end.
Yeah, I think the result about everything we do, it's a lot of work. There's nothing we do, it's like easy and fast to solve. Everything takes time. All the ideas take time, and we try different stuff until we get to the better way to, we think it's the better way to show things. Anyways, after the first kit, we launched the second and the third, and we are going to the fourth, so we can talk more about this.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you already like mentioned some of the challenges, but like, are there any 3 biggest challenges that you faced so far while building the Mola Structural project that you would like to mention?
Yeah. Okay. I think raising funds for the first, it was a huge thing. During this 10 years, getting a solution to make it happen, this was the mark, something really special. The second kit, the second campaign, I was really afraid of things not going right, because when you do it once, it's one thing. And when you need to do it again, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? It was really hard for me to go to the second one, and I was insecure about what's going to happen, but not wasn't like a huge challenge. It was the first one, but I had this kind of feeling that was different from the first. But I think the second big challenge is to keep the quality that we want for everything we do. As we grow as a company. So I think this is mixed with running the business as well. I think I'll put these 2 things together as the second big challenge. Running the business and making a way that we're not going to lose our essence, everything we do, the way we do, and why we do it. So this is a really hard thing, to keep everything, all the suppliers and everything, put everything together in the box the way we want it. And the third one, which is I think the biggest and the harder one, that it's here from the beginning to today, and will never go away, which is making things simple. Keep it simple. I think this is the most difficult challenge when you think about creating Mola and all the kits and all the products, because as soon as we see a simple solution, it's so simple that say, oh, this is really simple, but
to come to that is the most difficult part.
It's really difficult, especially because we are presenting really abstract concepts, structural concepts, in a visual way, an easy way to understand. So it's really hard to make complex stuff and try to show it in a simple way, in a way that everyone can take a kit, and you don't need to have engineering or architecture background. You can be from any field. If you open the book manual and you follow the instructions, if you build that, you're going to understand that principle. You don't need to know what compression and tension is. If you build that, you're going to understand. So this is so far the biggest challenge, to keep it simple.
Yes. So Marcio, how can Mola Structural be useful during the design phase of real life projects? Like, are there any projects that have already incorporated it? And if yes, which are those? Like, could you share some thoughts on it?
Okay. This is a really nice, interesting question, because there's a lot of applications for Mola. We have a first idea to education and teaching and learning. as well, but
Yes.
at the same time, it's a tool that you can try different stuff in an easy way, because you can change boundary conditions, you can change shape, you can change a lot of things like right away. We like to say that we take sketches to life. It's like a real sketch of the structural system that you're designing, for example. So I believe Mola could be a really good tool for everyone who's at the early stage of a design project. You can simulate different structures. Even if you don't have any idea yet, you can start building different stuff to get to some solution. Or maybe you already have an idea and you can try with the model to see if that makes sense, if there's any stability problem or any like special behavior or different stuff, like playing with the model. We don't have any case of a real building, because Mola exists like 6-7 years almost, and it takes time, but there's a lot of projects, like real projects, that use Mola as a design tool during the process. I have 2 cases that I can share with you. For coincidence, they're both 2 suspension pedestrian bridges. One here in Brazil. It's a Gesto architecture office with a collaboration with a civil engineering firm called Econ. They have designed a pedestrian bridge, which is a suspension pedestrian bridge, and we had a collaboration with them. We assembled this big structure inside their office with Mola. With Mola 3, we have the cable elements. And it was really interesting because it was a collaboration between the architecture team, the engineering team, and the physical model. And they could understand a lot of stability, the behavior of the structure, just by assembling the model and taking decisions to the final project, to the design, to calculations and everything. So this project, I don't believe they're building now, but I hope in the future this is going to be built, this pedestrian bridge. And there's another one in Spain. It's an engineering firm from 2 brothers, the Bernabeu brothers, Jorge Bernabeu and Alejandro Bernabeu. They are also professors at the Polytechnic University of Madrid. And they have designed together with, they won a design competition for this pedestrian bridge that crosses the Minho River that separates Spain from Portugal. So this pedestrian bridge will link Portugal with Spain. And it's a suspension bridge as well. And this was a really interesting collaboration because it was during pandemic. It was last year, and we talked online. I assembled. They gave me all the information about the project, the design, and everything. I did a really simple simplification of the structural system with Mola here. I needed to create some specific elements for this project, which wasn't like the standard elements from Mola, but just the slabs that we use to make the deck of the bridge, because they have a curved deck. If you look top view, it's curved. So horizontally, it works as an arch. So it's a really interesting structural system, and also innovative shape for this type of structure. And I assembled the structure here. We did a lot of online meetings. Like I'm showing the physical model and everything. And they said, perfect, now it's okay. It's exactly what we want. So I took everything out. I packed all the elements. I made some instructions to build. And I shipped to Spain. And they received there and they built there at the engineering firm. and they could experience by themselves, like flying loads and understanding the behavior and everything. And this was a really, really interesting and rich collaboration for me, especially. And I think for them, it was also really good. And we also wrote an article together that we're going to present this year in Denmark on a conference there. And so maybe in a few months, we will have more information to share.
That's great. That's great news.
But there's two like special cases.
Yeah. Hopefully many such projects come up in the following years.
I'm dreaming one day I'll see a building, like a real building that
comes up from a Mola structural kit.
That used Mola in some parts, in some moments. Mola was there to help in some way on the design.
Definitely.
It'll be a dream coming true.
Yeah. So, Marcio, what is your long-term vision that you have in mind with the development of the Mola Structural? Like, what are some of the ideas that you intend or wish to incorporate in the future? Let's say, let's forget of any constraints or anything at this point, and just like, what do you have in mind, like your breakthrough?
Okay. We have Mola 4 to launch this year, which is like real soon. Like we're thinking about our plans is to launch in September. It was also, it's going to be a crowdfunding again to launch Mola 4. But this was a really like concrete goal that we already working on everything. But during these years, I really changed the way I think Mola. Everything started as a tool, like as a physical model. The solution was the physical model itself and today I have a bigger vision for this, and we also already working on this, and Mola as a system and not only as a tool, because you can have a tool. If you don't know how to use it, maybe you not get everything from it, or the most of it, and we are thinking about a complete solution for universities, for educational institutions, for engineering offices, and solution for teaching structures, for simulating your own design. Like you can have your own structural lab. It's like a qualitative lab, so we are working on that. And so my vision today for Mola, it's more Mola structural system than Mola structural model. So this is what I can share now.
Hopefully,
but I think
goal is achieved.
I think this is also part of the process. Like when you start to understand a lot of things. And today, I'm really happy that we have contact with a lot of big institutions worldwide using Mola. So we have a really good relationship between people who are using the model. And we can learn a lot what from people that are using the model, what they're struggling with, so we can think different and make it better, not only the model but the way to use it. Like there's a lot of competitions being made here in Brazil and also starting in the US as well. So there's a lot of different applications, and we want to pack this as a big thing,
Yes, definitely. Those are some great stories and great experience and journey that you have shared with us today. So that brings us to the end of our conversation for today. Thank you very much, Marcio, for taking out your valuable time on this show today and sharing your journey, and also beautifully bringing out a great product for our industry. I hope you also enjoyed being a part of this show as well. And would you like to share any of your final thoughts or anything with us?
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for this invitation. For me, it's a pleasure to to share a little bit about Mola, about everything there's behind the product, because most of the people they don't know the things, so they know the product as soon as we launch. So it's really nice to share. And I like to say that we are coming with great news, different stuff, different elements, different structural systems. So if you like to follow, we are sharing soon like the new stuff we are launching this year.
Sure.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me. So like anyone who is interested to have a look at the Mola kits, please go to their website and stay tuned for kit that is being launched during this year. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Make sure you like, share and comment your thoughts and questions on this video. Type in any questions that you would like to ask Marcio as well in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel to help us grow our structural engineering community. See you all in the next episode soon.